So we're going to be doing things a little bit different today, guys. Instead of a normal lesson, I thought we'd end the week by doing a couple things here. Number one, I thought we'd take a look at our day 6 multiple choice, which I think is a great representation of most of what we have looked at up until this point. And also, separate from this is going to be a vocabulary quiz over these first 6 days. And I really want you guys to take your time, go back through, look over your material, because we have got to make sure we have down the vocabulary. Because if you don't know the vocab, then when you get asked something later on, you're going to have no clue what it's talking about. So I just want to make sure that we're learning and mastering that vocabulary. But first, let's take a look together at these multiple choice questions on day 6. So I'm hoping these first two you guys felt pretty solid about. They are straight up from mostly days 3 and 2 with a little bit of 4 thrown in. And this is where we're going to bring back parts plus part equals whole. Or in this case, since we're dealing with a line segment, we're talking seg, add, post, segment addition postulate. And the reason we know that is because EF is 3x minus 5, FG is 4x minus 10, and we're told that the whole thing, EG, is going to be 27. We know part plus part equals whole. Now again, remember, they don't tell us that F is the midpoint. So this piece is not equal to this piece. But this piece, 3x minus 5, plus 4x minus 10, will add up to be part plus part equals the whole, 27. And when you combine like terms, 7x, negative 15, negative 5 and negative 10 gives us negative 15, add 15 over, and then we divide, x is going to be 6. But again, please be careful, guys. Make sure you read exactly what they want us to find. They don't just want us to find x, they want us to find EF and FG as well. So now that we know what 6 is, we can plug that back in. EF is going to be 3 times 6 minus 5. 18 minus 5 gives you 13. And I can let you guys do the math for FG. 4 times 6 is 24, minus 10 will be 14. Since X is 6, we already know B and D are not options. And since EF is 13, we know it's going to be C. All right. So guys, take a second. Make sure you're good on number 2. This is not the same thing as number 1. What's different here? We're not given the whole. Instead, we're told that T is the midpoint. So ST and TU are congruent pieces of this segment. So if they're congruent, that means they're equal to each other. They're equal measures. So 9x can be said equal to 5x plus 24. This one's going to be a little bit shorter than our last one. Subtract 5x over. 4x equals 24, and you divide by 4. Once again, back-to-back problems, x equals 6. Now we look over here, and we know it can't be B, can't be A, wrong x, and they're wanting us to find ST as well as x. So we plug 6 into x, and the measure of ST is going to be 54. So hopefully you guys were able to go 2 for 2 there. So some of these last 5 problems we just got to be a little bit careful on, because if you're anything like me, sometimes you can get a little confused with these 3-dimensional objects. But let me give you a little secret if you don't already know. Anytime you see a dashed line, that means that is behind something that's in front of it. So I know for some of you guys, you may see these 3 dashed lines as being out in the front of the shape. Really, those are in the back. Be C, G, K, F, and J. That right there is the front of this box. And if you need me to, I can do this to maybe help you out with that. This is the front of our box right here. You see how all 4 lines are solid? So we want to know, what could we call this plane? Well, we just need 3 points that are not collinear on this plane to have it. So BEF's not going to work. A, nope, that's not going to work. BDG, BG, nope, not D. BCG, BCG, that'll do it. How about a little bit of an easier one before we jump back into the 3-dimensional area? So we have the ray, or we have a line segment here, and I guess actually it's a line technically, we just don't have the arrows. We want a ray that is opposite of NP. So there is NP. Remember, an opposite ray would be a ray that has one of the same endpoints, but that goes in the opposite direction. So that would be NM. C. Back to 3-dimensional objects. Name the intersection of plane XWST and plane ZWSV. And I would encourage you guys to do kind of like what I'm doing. If you have a hard time kind of seeing 3-dimensional objects, highlight these planes to help yourselves out. I'll go red and blue here. So XWST, XWST. Okay, that is SWXT. That is right here. And ZWSV. ZWSV. Oh, that would be right here. And so the question is, guys, we know that when 2 planes intersect, it forms a line. What line do these 2 planes intersect at? Here's a little secret. You can actually see that they share the same letters here. SWS, right there. That's where this plane and this plane come together at SW. So line SW, which is A. Now these last 2. I'm going to let you guys start these, or in the case of number 6, actually work it out if you haven't already. You should have already, but just in case. And I will unfreeze on number 6 and we can check our answer together. Now I wanted to pop back here. Be careful. I know we have the square root of 73, but that is not the same thing as actual 73. And when you take the square root of 73, you get something, not exactly, but something approximately around 8.5. So that will be A. And we saved the trickiest and the longest problem for last here. So if you want, you can go ahead and pause the video. Make sure you do this in pencil though, and see if you can get a map of kind of what we're looking at here. Okay, so we are told that we have a bus that's traveling straight from the mall to Truth Park. Now we know that the mall is 2 miles east and 3 miles north of the city center. So if you go 2 miles east, 3 miles north, you get from the city center up to the mall. We're also told that the park is 4 miles west and 5 miles south of this center. Now the problem is we want to know how far is it from Truth Park to the mall. We're not talking about following these mile directions here, 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2. So we want to know from exactly one spot to another as the crow flies. How can we get from Truth Park to the mall? What is that distance? Well, that means we're going straight there. We can draw a line segment here. And this is kind of interesting. It almost forms 2 mini right triangles here. So we have a right triangle there and a right triangle there. The problem is, though, we don't know either pieces of these line segments. And we don't know the whole thing, or else we could answer the question. So how can we find a missing piece of a right triangle? What 7th grade geometry skill can we use? That's right. We can bust out the Pythagorean theorem. We're talking a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And so we know C is going to be our hypotenuse. That is the longest side of the right triangle, the side that is across from the right angle. So that would be this piece and this piece. So here's the thing. What would that make 2 and 3 and 4 and 5? Well, we can call 2A, 3 can be B, 5 can be B, and 4 can be A. A and B are kind of interchangeable. You could have called 3A and 2B or 4B and 5A. Those are interchangeable. The big thing is C is always your hypotenuse. So let's find these two missing pieces here, these two segments. So 2 squared plus 3 squared is going to equal C squared. And then down here we've got 4 squared plus 5 squared is going to equal C squared. And so you guys can go ahead and pause and see what you end up getting here. We'll combine these and then each of these here, and then take the square root. So go ahead and pause and find out. Okay, so for our first one, I worked that out and got this first C is around 3.6 miles. Well, we work out this other one, I get 41 here. Now that's C squared, so take the square root. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. And I ended up getting about, again, this is not exactly, but approximately 6.4. So that's 6.4, and that is 3.6, because we're rounding to the 10th of a mile. And so, guys, now we can do seg add post. Part plus part equals the whole. So 6 plus 4 plus 3.6. In total, we're going to have 10 miles. So from Truth Park to the mall directly, that is 10 miles. So just make sure, guys, that we are working on getting that quiz taken care of. And just really make sure if you get done with these today that you focus on making sure you're all caught up. That way we can really enjoy this 3-day weekend. So thank you, guys.